Hello, Riddler.
Hello.
What's up, buddy?
How you doing?
Good. How you doing, man?
Pretty good.
That Robert Drysdale thing was cool, huh?
Yeah.
I thought you would like that when I saw that.
Thank you for inviting me. Yeah. I'm having a little motivation issue today, which I should because I taught my last class on Friday.
Nice.
Finished up at like 4:30 or whatever, and I had an extra office hour today, and it's like I want a vacation so much, like really.
Right.
And I still got I got some shit to do. I got to get all these other podcasts out for tomorrow. But anyway, but yeah, then I'm gonna like start being like, I need a week off. You know, not a week from what you're doing. This is all good. Podcasts are good, but I still got to grade everybody and deal with all that bullshit and stuff. So we'll see how it goes. It's a good problem to have, but this was not an easy semester in the least.
Dude.
Not at all.
When is the school start? When is the next school?
I only have a couple weeks off. I'm teaching summer semester. I got a 12-week, which is awesome. Believe me, I'm not complaining. I don't have any.
Right.
I did finally. I get a contract the other day. That was cool.
Nice.
Came in out of nowhere. It's not. Well, I haven't signed it yet, so we'll see. But you are 2 minutes and 37 seconds out.
Sweet.
Yep. Oh, can we test something?
Yeah.
I'm going to leave and come back, okay?
Yeah.
One, two, three. 1, 2, 3. You hear me? You can hear me, right?
I can.
All right. We are live in 1 minute and 46 seconds.
Is this just going to be me talking to the camera tonight?
All right, I'll talk to you until somebody else shows up. Hey, I put my jacket on just in case. So
I mean, you know, not that we don't have stuff to say.
do you want to see something sad?
No, not really, but
It's not that sad. Come on. You see all those things?
yeah,
The big ones, the long ones?
yeah.
Those all say BJJ.
Oh yeah.
This
Listen,
is my week off, so I had it all planned out. I was
I
going
get a
today, tomorrow morning, Wednesday, Thursday night, maybe Friday morning, and Saturday.
I get
was like-
something sent to me every class that's supposed to go. So I get an alert before every class.
Yeah, I'm just saying I
that we
actually
don't have.
added to my calendar because I knew I had the week off. 50 seconds, 52 seconds. I'll give you a countdown from 10.
Sweet.
And then you can say, welcome back to the... Is there a problem? Are people talking to you?
I haven't heard from anybody. I mean, I've heard from people, but
You
not.
sent them the invite, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool. 30 seconds.
Where's
There's
my man?
someone.
It's Sab.
What's up, guys?
How you
up,
doing?
brother?
How's everything going?
Great, you're 18 seconds out.
Doing awesome, man. It's good to see you, brother. Really
Good to
is.
see you too, man. It's been a while.
Seriously.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5. You are live.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Mother's Day edition of the Great Northeast BJJ podcast. Sunday, stress-free, start over thing. PMA edition. My friend Rich Sab, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Dude, it's great to see you, man. We're going to be joined by some other people, but I always I feel weird about all these because I always want to do all these like in-person on the mat things.
Yeah.
And but this, I also feel good because, man, it's good to just sit down and talk to you.
Yeah, I mean, you get to talk to a lot of people who you don't get to talk to on a regular basis due to the distance. So it's kind of cool at the same time.
Yeah, dude, 100. Like we've had a ton of different people on, at the same time that wouldn't, from all over the country and world together, which is nice, man. Where are you? You're in New Jersey somewhere, right?
Yeah, I'm in Bergen County, New Jersey, which is the right outside Manhattan.
Oh yeah.
So
can you take a left turn in that county in New Jersey?
Yeah, I mean you could, dude. It's a highway thing, dude. it's a highway thing, but yeah, it's not as bad as the stereotype. One of my best friends, Steve Gilbert, he lives somewhere in New Jersey. He's from New Jersey, or he's from Philly, I think, and he lives in New Jersey. So I was somewhere in New Jersey one time, and we've driven in Boston. I thought that was tough, but I was just trying to go left, and they wouldn't let me go left. And there's like this sign, it's like jug handles. And, yeah, man. You got to go right, go around the loop, and then come back through. I got to
be honest, man. I went left.
Yeah, well, a lot of people do, man.
people were pissed at me too. People were not impressed with my left turn.
Well, yeah, everyone just like lays on their horn and they go around and they yell stuff at you.
Brad Wilson, brother, what's up?
What's up, everybody? What's going on, Rich?
Forget about Brad. Look at Teddy. Teddy's
going crazy.
Nice.
How's Teddy doing?
Look how long his tongue is.
He's feeling good. He's fresh and clean.
Yes.
So fresh and so clean.
So, Rich Sab, man, I'm on a big history. Oh, let's actually. My friend Jeff Shaw, our friend Jeff Shaw today, who's doing a really cool. He does a podcast. It's amazing, Dirty White Belt Radio. But he had an interview today with Drysdale, who's doing a documentary that it's super cool. And so Riddler asked him a question, and it was the best answer yet. Riddler asks him, what's your this is, they're talking jiu-jitsu history, and Riddler asks him what's his favorite martial arts video, and the only part I remember is martial arts movies give him a headache.
It's not fair. They were at the end of the conversation. It was super respectful. They dove so deep. It was fascinating. I mean, he connected all these stories that we all have in our heads, and he connected I'm not going to try to even do it. All I'm saying is I can't wait to see the movie. I guess it's a short film that he's putting out, right? But yeah, it was a lot more respectful than you just made that out to sound there, George.
Everything always is.
It was. But yeah, he said he's not seen any martial arts films that impress him at all. He liked Bruce Lee when he was a kid and that kind of thing, but totally different. Did not jump into the fray like the rest of us.
He did not.
Is that the one where they have like an Instagram page that's been up for like the last 3 years and it hasn't seemed to really be progressing at this point?
Maybe. It's called Closed Guard, I think.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, I heard an interview with him on another podcast a couple years ago.
Yeah.
They were talking about. So I went and followed the Instagram page, but it doesn't seem to get updated very often. So
I think it's still in the works, man. It's still he's shooting for this summer. But it seems really cool. Like he's here it is. There it is. Riddler's Closed Guard.
Yeah, I never heard of it. That's neat.
Dude, super interesting. He's going into the alternate, maybe somewhat alternate history of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah. Like the alternate lineages kind of thing.
Yeah. And just all the Japanese stuff. And he goes to Brazil. He talks to Fada and all these guys. And it's pretty awesome.
Cool.
I think it's gonna be cool.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah. So, Rich, what's your favorite martial arts movie of all time?
My favorite martial arts movie of all time? I don't know, man. That's a tough one. I'd have to put a lot of thought into that.
Yeah, what's the first one that comes into your head? Don't think too much.
I don't know. The Kill Bills pop up into my head. Those are great movies. I think you guys were talking about this once before, and I basically said anything but red belt.
Yeah, that shit's awful. I remember skipping work. I think I told you this in another podcast. I had like an office job when that movie came out, and I remember calling in sick to work because I wanted to go see it, and I went to like a matinee movie, and I was like the only one in the theater, and I was like, oh, this is the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that as bad as it is, you sit there and watch the whole thing anyway, you know?
Yeah, it was awful acting, awful rate. It was terrible.
Yeah, so, I mean, the Kill Bills, I mean, is typically the first thing that pops into my head. I don't know, I used to watch Kung Fu Theater when I was a kid. It was basically like Saturday mornings. And
yeah, baby.
Yeah, but
my Kung Fu is better than your Kung Fu.
Yeah, exactly. But I don't remember much about any of them, you know? I don't remember the names of any of them or anything, so I can't even throw back to like that old genre of, you know, those the Kung Fu movies that were like, I guess they were all made in China, you know, with the out of sync talking and whatnot, you know.
Oh, yeah, man.
But,
Joe Thompson, what's up, brother?
What's up, guys? How you doing?
Welcome, my friend.
How you doing? I'm on time almost.
No, that's because I gave you the invite 25 hours early.
And this time I got video.
Dude, we're making progress, my man. So I don't know if any
old man
guys know, my friend Joe owns a gym, Lockdown Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu in Ronkonkoma, New York.
No, not too far from me.
Heard of it.
Come by anytime, buddy. My guest. Come on by anytime. Hopefully we're still standing when this is all over with. Yeah. If Como's rules don't kill me first.
We will, man. I believe in us right now. I believe we're gonna get through this. So the first time I talked to Joe, I was going to I was going to a thing at Brad's gym, but I was like, I knew Brian Marvin, so I was like, man, I'm gonna go down to Long Island and train there, and then I'm going to go back to my friend Brad's and do, like, I forget what you had. You had some kind of thing going on.
Probably like some kind of
I had a We Defy seminar. That was why.
Yeah, yours. So I called Joe. I was like, hey, is it cool if I come down? He's like, yeah. I was like, dude, I don't even know how to say the name of the town you're in. Like, I was like, Ronk. He's like, Ronk. Jesus.
That's typical
always a
Long
pleasure
Island,
having you guys, man. Your whole family. Pleasure having you guys come down. These guys will jump in the car like they're going down the block. They're driving 8 hours.
I love traveling around, man, and hanging out with you guys. It's
go jiu-jitsu. Great stuff, though, man. Hopefully we get to do all that stuff again real soon. So the gym's coming along good. You guys see it. We just put the fence up. I'm opening up for those of you that weren't on last week. I'm opening up a 7,000 square foot facility in Ronkonkoma.
Nice. So, congrats, man.
Like his last gym was awesome. And I feel like I don't know the area that well, but I got on the ferry in Connecticut.
For those of you that don't know me, I'm an old man. I'm 60 years old. So,
dude, you're a beast, bro. Though you are a beast.
I was 6 days out of the Pan Ams.
Yeah.
And they canceled it, man. I was training like an animal. I lost 35 pounds to that competition. I was hoping to win another world championship this year. I've won 2 so far. Again, those of you who don't know who I am, I've won 2 of them so far. But I was hoping to win this year, but it looks like that's not going to happen.
So here's something I was thinking about, right? Like, and this is good, Joe, talking about old man Joe here. Jesus. Like, I was like, man, I'm really, like, losing training. But then I was like, well, fuck, my goal is to train for life, right? So I was like, man, I really didn't lose. You know, I mean, it's a bummer, but, like, I'm going to hopefully train for the rest of my life. Like, Joe, what do you think about training? Like, I mean, is that your goal? Train for the rest of your life? What?
I was planning on training until they close the casket. So they'll probably be trying to close the lid, and I'll still be rolling. So it's like, he's supposed to be dead, man. but yeah, no, this is a lifestyle, right? I mean, none of us are probably going to stop. I mean, this doesn't stop me now. So I can't do full contact with people around. At least not saying that I am doing full contact with people around, but we're doing a lot of bag training. And like I told my students, I mean, we'll do the bag training. I got the bags going on. I'm doing live classes, live Zoom classes three times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And, you guys are all welcome to join us anytime you want. Everybody can join on. If you just go to my page, the information for Zoom is up there, and you guys can jump on and have your students jump on if you have your own school. And it's all bag training. So I'm doing all sorts of bag training and stuff with sticks and stuff like that for judo, and some good drills. Nothing's going to stop. I mean, we can't train live right now, but we can still other things. I'll train till the day I'm dead. So if that answers your question, George.
Chris Smith, brother, welcome to the podcast.
Hey, man, how are you?
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Thank you.
Dude, I'm doing great. It's good to see you, my friend. Like, we talked a while ago about doing a podcast. I was like, bro, I'll come down and visit you, or you're going to come up. And then obviously, I was like,
this happened.
Yeah, that ain't happening. So, I'm stoked to have you on. I'm interested, like, so you own a gym. It's called IMBCT.
Yep.
Where is that?
It's I'm basically central Connecticut. It's in a city called Waterbury. If you are from Waterbury, it has different nicknames. They have called it Sin City, the City of Sin. It is commonly known as the Dirty Water, because it's water. And then if you're a historian, you call it the Brass City. Because like during like the Civil War and whatnot, and even during various other wars, anything made from brass came from Waterbury. So,
Brad Wilson, what do you call that town?
We call it Dirty Water, yeah.
You're not too far from Hartford then, right? You're closer to Hartford.
What's that? Yeah, I'm pretty close to you guys. Again, like Waterbury puts me kind of like, I'm near everybody as long as I'm willing to travel, but no one wants to come to us. No one wants to come visit us, so is what it is.
So there's probably a lot of people out there who know you from refereeing. You do a lot of refereeing.
Yeah, I have reffed the only organization, I mean, not the only, but as far as like the major ones, I haven't done any work with the IBJJF. But I don't know if you guys remember 5 grappling.
Yeah.
5. I was actually I refereed the first 5 grappling event ever. They assembled a team, they trained us, and then they sent us up to Canada, and it was pretty cool. Like, it was, all inclusive, all expenses paid. I had never been to Canada before, and we did the first 5 tournament. I have refereed for the Copa Nova, Copa Podio. I have I'm the head referee for Men of War Pro, which is a pro-am event. Submission only, kind of like Fight to Win,
Chris, that's out of Jersey. Chris, you do a lot of your shows out of Jersey, right? One of my kids, Tommy DiGirolamo, fights on your card.
Who?
Tommy DiGirolamo.
Yeah.
Tommy's was my original student, and
cool.
Yeah, he's with what's her name now? Fiona Watson.
Yep. And then I referee for the New Jersey BJJ Federation. I was head referee for Grappler's Quest. I I referee. Who else do I referee for? Oh, Tap Cancer out. And I also we did. I was one of the guys who did the first and so far only Hickson Gracie Cup.
Where was that?
That was up in Albany, and it was pretty cool. It was a different rule set, but like I had trained with Hickson in the past, but I hadn't trained with Hickson ever since I had like gotten the hang of jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like when I trained with Hickson, I trained with him a couple of times as a white belt. So, I mean, again, compared to him, I still don't know anything, but I look at him differently now, and jiu-jitsu is weird, like people, there's a flavor of the month thing with jiu-jitsu, right? So everyone's like, oh my God, this is the guy, he's hot. This is the guy, he's hot. And like, if, someone will say, well, who would win in a fight? It wouldn't be this guy or Hickson. And they're like, oh, this guy will stomp Hickson. It's like, dude, you have no idea. This is a guy who sees the matrix. It looks like numbers to you, and to him, it's like, it looks like you can't comprehend his processor for jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Hickson will take you to school with bread and butter jiu-jitsu. You want to sit there and go upside down. Oh, and I'm playing this, and I do the inside ashi. Hickson's the type of guy, you show him a move, he will beat you and all of your friends with it. I swear to God he will.
Well, Hickson
right after the other.
Chris, Hickson back in the day, I trained with Soka, Alexander Soka.
Okay.
Back in the day, Hickson would walk into the school on a Saturday afternoon. He'd start out with Henzo, beat Henzo, and go through a who's who. Shembre, Soka, all of them. Alf, all of them. 30 people. And then finish by beating Henzo again.
Yeah. That's the truth. And no one but thank you for saying it, because people think, oh, yeah, you're just saying that. It's like, no, dude, it's true. Yeah.
So we just had Henry Akins on the podcast last week, and
he's awesome, man. He's some of the best stuff I've ever got from seminars with him.
Dude,
amazing teacher, that guy.
I've never trained with him, and people kept coming on talking about how great he was, and so a friend of ours, Dave McGinnis, said, "I can get him on. I could get Henry Akins on the podcast if you want." I was like, "Yeah, of course, man. Let's do it." So, talking to him, I was like, "Man, we gotta hang out." Like, he's a great guy to talk to about.
Yeah, really, really nice dude, and
definitely.
Super good teacher too. He's come to Connecticut a few times, and every time he comes, I go to. Charlie's had him a couple times in Norwich, and he's great.
So next time I'll be there for sure, man. But he talks about Hickson. I mean, obviously he's got a ton of crazy Hickson stories, but he was talking about the original Spider Guard guy whose name eludes me right now, Traven, I think.
Roberto Traven.
Yeah, and so. The first time Hickson saw the Spider Guard, it gave him some problems, and he couldn't really pass it, and Henry was he came in the next day, and you could tell he didn't sleep, and he was just thinking about Spider Guard, and he came in and just demolished the Spider Guard over and over and over again.
Wow, there's a story about Hickson and Sergio Pena, right? Now, I was told this story by a very credible source, but I'm telling you a story that he saw, so I'm gonna butcher it a little bit, but anyhow, so I guess back in the day, this is back in Brazil, when Sergio Pena was coming up, he was as a purple belt, they said he was smoking dudes. Just ripping right through people. And I guess Elio was, just happened to pop in at their academy one day. And, So Sergio Pena is just a student there. And he's like, wow, this guy's really good, talking about Sergio. So Elio goes and talks to him, and he's like, hey, he's like, I hear you're the guy. And he's like, I try to do my thing. And he's like, I've always wanted to fight your son. And Elio's like, Hickson's a black belt, you're a purple belt, blah, blah, blah. Now, again, I'm just telling you what I was told. So I guess, basically, Elio blessed him and was like, listen, you want to fight as a black belt? You're a black belt now. And then like the next day or a couple days later, whatever it was, there was an event, and there was an opportunity and they rolled. So now what happens is for like the first half of this match, Sergio was putting the screws to Hickson. And somehow they broke apart, or, they got separated somehow. And Hickson, fixes his gi, recomposes himself, and then game on, match over. You know what I mean? And apparently something to the effect of that the night before, Hickson had been up all night because something had happened to a friend. They were in the hospital or something like that. Again, I'm giving you a story that was given to me, but the guy who told me, he's not a liar, you know what I mean? But maybe some of the timeline or might not be 100% accurate, so.
Dude, the legend of Hickson is great anyway.
It's as great as he is, like in terms of his skill, right?
Exactly.
400-0, Marcio always used to tell us cool stories about him too, like, and just moves and training with him and stuff. I've been doing jiu-jitsu for 23 years. I've never gotten to train with him. One of these days, I hope.
He's phenomenal, dude.
I'd like to. Yeah, it's on my bucket list for sure.
Unreal. Had the pleasure of training with him, and then John Jocks as well.
That's cool too.
All those guys come down to Stokers, and John, like you were saying, Chris. I mean, it's just flavor of the month with who wants to do the heel hook, the leg locks, and the fancy leg locks, and the worm guards, and all this stuff. And then these guys come down, and the basics that they do just.
Yeah.
And then I'm a second-degree black belt. I've been around a while. And you're sitting there and you're listening to him describe the basics again. You're like, holy crap, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah,
just
it's amazing how those guys
do an amount or from the guard. Like, wow, just that easy.
Yeah, I got to train a couple summers ago at the Globetrotters camp in Iceland. Like Carlos Machado just randomly was in Iceland during the camp when we were all there. And he just popped into Goonie school, like, while we were all doing the camp. And he just put his gi on and, like, taught a class. And it was, like, the most mind-blowing hour of jiu-jitsu, I think, other than, like, maybe Marcio, Pedro Sauer, a few of these guys that are, like, really, amazing guys that have been around forever. Like, I was blown. It was the same thing. I was like, he showed the most basic, like, two things I've ever seen. And I was just like, I thought I'd done that movie a million times. Like, I've never seen it or heard it explained like that. Like, unbelievable, man.
John Jock showed just in the guard how to keep your posture in the guard, just a way to structure your back and keep your posture in the guard. Then he had the biggest and strongest guys get underneath them and wrap their guard, and with two hands try to pull him down and break his guard, and couldn't break his guard. He's like, come on, man. You got two hands. I got one, and I can break a guard better than that. And you couldn't move him. You just couldn't move him.
Yeah, that's cool, man.
And he's going, the simple little adjustments that he made, in the guard and, from mount and just little simple things that he did. We're like, wow, why wouldn't I think of that? Why wouldn't I ever think of that?
Yeah. It's like a reminder that there's levels to it, right? Like there's always like levels to it. Like you're like, I'm at a certain point, and then there's like, yeah, that guy's a little better than me. And then you're like, then there's those guys that are like, that dude's been doing that thing his whole life. And he's,
It goes back to what Chris said before, though. It's just flavor of the month. I mean, he was talking more of like the person, but flavor of the month in terms of the techniques. These guys stick to the basics, and they do the basics to the letter. And, we as a newer generation, well, not me, but you guys as a newer generation with a lot of new stuff coming up, they try to change things. And you don't change what's already working. Don't fix what's broken, right? And these guys just do it, and it's just awesome just to see it. Unreal.
Rich Sabatino,
Yes, sir.
How did you end up starting to train? Like, where were you at? What was going on?
I was doing Muay Thai and Taekwondo at the time. And the guy who I was training with brought in Sean Alvarez, and just for a seminar. And it was a great seminar. And he brought one of his purple belts with him. And they weren't too far away from us. They were in White Plains, New York, which is like 45 minutes from us. And we wanted to keep it after the seminar. We wanted to keep it going. So like just on Saturdays, he would come down the purple belt. Jojo, Brad, you know Jojo, right?
Yeah, I know Jojo well.
Yeah, he would come down by us on Saturdays, and we just started training from there, and just kept going, man. And then at some point, we ended up switching and going under Joe Moreira. But yeah, that's where it started. So that was around 2000, I guess, 2 or 3. I guess 2003, something like that.
Rich, where do you train?
I'm in New Jersey, man. I'm in Bergen County. Place is called The Edge. It's a Joe Moreira affiliate.
Yeah, I heard it.
Smaller academy, but I'm actually. You mentioned Fiona before. She's about 2 towns away from me too. She's not too far from us.
Yeah, she comes up and she trains with us on Saturdays when we're training at Soka. She comes down to Soka. She's been to my place a few times too.
Yeah. She's. I don't know her really, but she's real close to us. I know a couple guys who train by her.
So, Rich, you got hooked up with the Globetrotters. How did that happen?
Well, I had heard about a book called Cauliflower Chronicles, and I went on Amazon to buy it. And when you go on Amazon and you buy something, they always tell you other things you might like. That book, the Globetrotter book, popped up, and I was like, yeah, I probably would like that. So I bought it, and I read that book, and then it got me curious about the whole thing. So I went online and started doing some research and everything, and that was I guess that was like early in December or late November, something like that. And that year for Christmas, my girlfriend bought me a ticket to the camp. And
which one?
The second New Hampshire camp.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I went to that camp, and then I went back to the following year in Maine, and then Christian invited me to come teach, and that's it, man. I've been just trying to run with it ever since,
Where have you gone, like, to teach?
I usually go to Maine every year. I was out in Arizona in, October last year. I was at the Iceland camp with Brad where Carlos Machado came. I was at that one. Germany was the first place I taught. St. Bart's a couple times.
Nice.
So it's been good to me, man. It's been good to me. Opened up a lot of opportunity. Plus, I met all you guys,
Right.
Yeah.
Chris Smith, I know you trained, you've trained a lot of martial arts. Like, you were trained in martial arts before you started jiu-jitsu.
Yes. So I started with Tang Sudo and Kung Fu. And I started with that as a kid. But when I was like 17, I'm like, this isn't for me. I just not necessarily disillusioned with it, but I had gotten into a street fight, and I had done a pretty good job on my feet. And the guy that I was fighting, he turned his back, and I'm like, I didn't know what to do. So I did what Captain Kirk would do. You remember, like Captain Kirk, or like whatever, they jump on the guy's back. And when I jumped on his back, he shrugged me off. And then so I'm lying down on the ground, and he's like towering above me, and he cocks back, boom. And I just rolled out of the way, like, I'm like, shit. And his hand, I hear his hand hit the ground, and I'm like, oh my God, thank God, So I realized that, all right, what I've been doing, there's some value to it, but this isn't what fighting's about. And that led me to Jeet Kune Do. And so I started studying Jeet Kune Do, and immediately I started doing Muay Thai, and I started boxing. And I started at the boxing gym. None of the coaches would work with me originally because I was a southpaw because of the Jeet Kune Do. And so they're like, oh, he's, you know, and they're like, oh, he's a karate guy. He doesn't want to learn anything. But I really did want to learn something, you know? So it wasn't until I decided I actually had to corner one of the coaches and say, like, will you show me something? I'm here every day. You know? So they started showing me how to box. And they're like, listen, if we put some time and effort into you, you got to like compete. And I'm like, well, I wasn't really interested in competing. I just like martial arts. So I agreed to start competing in boxing. Anyhow, the Jeet Kune Do school that I was going to had always talked about the Gracies and the Gracie Challenge. And I'm like, what do you mean these dudes have a $60,000 challenge or $40,000? I think it was $60,000. And like, they'll fight anybody. I'm like, okay, so how come, has anyone beaten them? And the guy's like, no one has. And I'm like, no way, come on. How do they get them to the ground? They just run in and they tackle them. I'm like, I don't know. I don't believe it. I'm not buying it. So, 1990, I had an opportunity to go to a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu seminar in Philadelphia, and it was taught by Horian, Hoyler, and Hoist. And it was crazy because like I knew about judo, but I had never seen jiu-jitsu before, number one. Number two, I'm like, we're in a banquet room of this hotel, a nice hotel at that. But I'm like, I've never seen this many guys gathered for a seminar in my life. I mean, it was packed. And, you know, they split everyone up into groups and they're doing stuff. And there was no mats because, like, how do you bring enough mats for a banquet hall filled with people? You know what I mean? Or a conference room filled with people. So it was, luckily there was rugs, you know. And towards the end of the seminar, I had an opportunity to roll against Hoyler. And I'm like, cool. And again, this is like, you know, I've done some submission grappling, some catch as catch can, but jiu-jitsu moves a little differently, especially if you don't know it, especially at the white belt level, you know, and especially if you haven't learned how to apply your natural qualities and attributes into your role. So I'm just like thinking, I'm bigger than this dude. I know I've got to be more athletic than this dude. And I went at him. And Hoyler, well, do I really need to tell you what happened?
Oh, man, you gotta tell us.
So 4 times.
So anyway, I'm like, wow, I got to learn this jiu-jitsu stuff. And even once I started learning it and we started practicing stuff, I was a believer that jiu-jitsu worked, but my mind could not accept that all this stand-up fighting that we've learned was not working. You know what I mean? And the cool thing about jiu-jitsu is that it can provide you with a litmus test. Like, you know, you get to find out right now within the next slap bump roll in the next second or two if your game is good or if it sucks. And so the fact that jiu-jitsu is always pressure testing stuff is what kept me doing it, despite the fact that I still have a love of the standing arts. But now, fast forward all these years later, I still love all of the martial arts. But if you do not know jiu-jitsu and you're trying to fight somebody and you're trying to make sure you win, you need to know jiu-jitsu. That's my personal opinion. You need to know it.
Toolbox, right, Chris?
What's that?
Many tools in the toolbox.
Exactly.
Many tools in the toolbox. Yeah, it's similar thought to the process. I was stand up before I was ground, and I went to Henzo opened the school out here on Long Island, and I was like, you know, UFC was big, and I'm like, I could do that. So I was like, I want, and I'm just stepping into that. I walked in. And at the time, when I walked in, I was 210, jacked up out of my mind. Walked in and I see these guys. And I was pretty good stand-up for a while, too. So I walk in and I see Rodrigo and Enzo puts me with Rodrigo. He goes, you're a big man. You go with me. I roll with Andre. And I think I tapped in a minute about 40 times.
Yeah.
About 40 times. It was like I couldn't do nothing. I'm like, oh, unbelievable. And then from that point on, I was just, you're just addicted to it, right? It's just the thing about jiu-jitsu that gets me, and I love stand-up too, and wrestling and all of that, is what my background was beforehand. But, this keeps me thinking. And you never know, no matter how much you know, you never know. You never know. You're always learning.
Sure.
So you mentioned Hoyler before. Hoyler and Soka had some battles, and we've met Hoyler and I've met Hori, and those guys have come out here a few times and rolled with them, and they're on a whole other level. I mean, they're on just another plane in terms of knowledge, right, of what they know. Or like with John Jocks, when he was explaining the basics of stuff, it's just like you look at it and you're like, wow, I should have known that. It's just so simple. And
yeah.
Every time you say Soka, I think of that classic picture that has like Hickson and Draculino, and Soka is a brown belt. I think Draculino's a brown belt.
It's a who's who in that picture, man. Half Gracie, High-End Gracie, they're all in that picture. It's about 5 years ago we were at Worlds. It was me, Soka, Draculino, who else? Helio was with us. Not Helio, the other guy. Henzo was with us. The other crazy dude, I forgot who it was. But he came with us, and then we go to see Horian. Am I still on, or did I lose you guys?
Yeah, no, I'm just putting up the picture.
Is that the picture?
Yeah. Coletta is in it, Fetosa, Gordo.
That's like the original Gracie Baja, right? Like back in the day.
Yeah, that's them right there. Yeah, so Gordo's been to my academy too. He's been down a few times to teach. So, those guys it's just a who's who. So anyway, we go to see Horian in Torrance, California. And it's just the museum that he has there. If you guys haven't been, you got to go. It's unreal. He's got, pictures of his dad, in the day. Got the original model of the UFC that he created. He tells you the stories about how first he was going to put a moat around it. It was going to be a circle with alligators and everything. He was going to have an electrified fence, all of this. And then they finally came to, the just some fun, crazy stuff. But great place to visit if you haven't been. With those guys, unbelievable. So who's who with those guys?
So I was reading the book by Hodger's mother. I think it's Hodger's mother that wrote the book about Carlos.
Yeah.
And it's funny, because everybody's giving, Horian's the promoter. And when you read about the family, Gustavo, or whatever his name was, he owned a circus and a casino at different times. So it didn't just start with Horian. His grandfather was out there promoting all kinds of weird stuff.
Oh yeah. I'm reading a book right now called I think it's called Choke. It's a 3-part series.
Yeah, I read that.
I just started reading it not too long ago, and it starts off in the 1890s or something like that.
Yeah,
and that's basically what it was. It's like a lot of shows on circuses, and come fight this guy and win money, and it's very very weird stuff, man. But I haven't gotten too far into it
back in those days.
Yeah, it reminds me of. Did you ever see Paradise Alley with Sylvester Stallone? It was like
yes. The answer is yes.
It's just it's the greatest movie, man.
It's an awesome movie.
It's about wrestling, and it's come wrestle, and they set up a ring in bars, and you come wrestle a guy for money. And I'm reading this book, and it's this is the 1800s, and this is the earlier versions of Paradise Alley, man. It's pretty cool.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
before we go any farther, I want to catch up for people who are watching, sending in some comments and stuff. So David Middleton says hi.
My chiropractor.
Yeah, nice.
He was a wrestler at West Point.
He's probably bummed that you're not seeing him as much because you're not rolling as much.
We send him a lot of business.
It's getting to be a tradition at this point. The King of the White Belts is checking in. Everybody's just so that everyone's wishing Happy Mother's Day to Amanda. Chris does so. So does Jeff Shaw. In fact, he was the one who was talking to Drysdale earlier today with that comment that you were talking about on his podcast, Dirty White Belt Podcast, and also Bellingham BJJ. And so, yeah, a bunch of people talking. Kyle wanted to mention, how about Bryce Mitchell's grappling clinic last night on UFC 249? For anybody who saw it, it was back and forth from arm triangle to twister to arm triangle to twister.
Yeah, I saw that. That was dope.
Does anybody? I'm a purple belt here. I'm looking at it. I thought it was weird. It was cool how he kept his balance. He made it so there's only one way the guy could turn out, right? And by the way, guy, it's our friend Charles Sosa. So Rosa. So I'm sorry that sorry to bring up that name because he's pretty disappointed today. But man, the way the guy kept his balance, going back and forth, never let the underhook under. It's pretty cool.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Anybody see it?
I saw it.
Great fight.
With enough time, with a little bit more time, I think he would have pulled it off.
Seemed like
he came super close, but right. I think the time expired, if my memory serves me correctly. And then Fabricio Verdun looks pretty sharp. Skill set, he looked pretty sharp. I really do not want to have Fabricio Verdun looking for me, but he definitely looked like he has been in better shape.
Well, that's an understatement.
He's how old? He's got to be in his mid-40s?
Whoa, easy on the old.
I'm the same age, dude. Who you think you're talking to? You think I'm 25? He's been around forever. I mean, that guy's been fighting forever, and he's still a beast. It's crazy.
Yeah, it looks like Verdum's 42.
Yeah, okay. So he's a little younger than I thought he was, but still.
Yeah, I have a feeling he's a little older than that. Maybe they report that he's 40.
Right? He's been around for like 20 years.
He's been around a long time, man. He's been around a long time.
Yeah.
He definitely looked...
His skills kicked in right around the mid-second round. His skills just kicked.
Well, once the stand-up part of it kind of like slowed down a little bit, then he looked pretty good. But
right.
at first, he was getting picked apart pretty good, though.
Yeah, I think back in the day, though, that armbar that he had a couple of times, he would have been able to pull that off a lot easier. He missed it.
Sure.
Yeah. Not that I want him coming after me either.
Right.
Well, the way he looked last night, I know I could outrun him, so.
Absolutely, right.
So that dude with the twister, I think he trains under Rolly Delgado.
He does.
No, Rolly, yeah.
Oh.
That was impressive, though. Charles Rosa is no joke, man, and that dude dominated.
Yeah, it was. I think he attempted the arm triangle something like 9 times, and he got like 3 twister attempts off on it. Which, right. That the arm triangle is not so surprising, but to get that close to the twister that many times is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it is.
I think most impressive about that fight was his control. He's like, no matter where he was or what he missed that twister and the arm triangle, but that guy had nowhere to go. Just couldn't. He was totally in control. He transitioned from one move to the next. Fluid, just beautiful jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, no doubt.
Pretty to watch.
Also, shout out to my friend Daniel Vanderlei, who was coaching Anthony Showtime Pettis, who got a big win over Cerrone last night.
Yeah. So, Chris mentioned that Mauricio was on Raspberry 8 podcast discussing the history of the family as well. So that's probably worth looking into.
What was that?
I heard that one. That one's awesome.
Really? Yeah, I have not.
That's one of my favorite podcasts, man. Dan Strauss is a great interviewer. Really, really good podcast.
Really? Have you ever met him?
Really engaging.
He seems like a nice guy. I don't know the podcast.
I've never
very
met
well.
him personally, but he's a buddy of my friend Ali Geddes, and I know he's had like Ali on a few times, and I just like listening to him. He's just a really good interviewer. He's always pretty engaging guy.
What's Ollie been up to? I saw him a bunch a while ago, and then I haven't seen him in years.
I saw him over the summer. Like I saw him at the camp in Germany. He's got a lady. I know he's teaching a bunch. He's got a school in London. I think he's working at or teaching out of, and his girlfriend's in the Netherlands. So I think he spends a lot of time there.
He was on the Great Northeast BJJ podcast many years ago with Chris Howder.
He's good people, man.
He is.
I
met Chris Howder a couple years ago.
Right.
Yeah,
Chris is the man.
Yeah, he is. He is.
With Chris Howder's shirt on right now.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dope.
You want to have like a crazy experience? You go to a video arcade with Chris Howder.
Oh man,
Like, probably some of the most fun I've ever had in my life.
Brad, you're killing me. That sounds perfect. Because I can't skate anymore. My knees are totally shit. You know, I mean, I can just roll around a little bit, and Chris is cool, man.
Just a commentary on every video game that.
Dude, he came over and played the drums at the Riddler's Barn with us.
Yeah.
Happy Mother's Day.
Hey, Amanda.
Hey.
There's been a lot of Mother's Day shout outs to Amanda.
Oh, thank you.
Jeff Shaw,
Very cool.
Chris Tapandria,
King of the White Belts.
King of the White Belts.
Oh, that's awesome, guys. Thank you so much.
Now, King of the White Belts, we need to ask a white belt question for all these black belts. Dude, you got access to. So, King of the White Belts is an old student of ours who he was a wrestler. So the white belt wrestler guy, he'd take everybody down. And then,
no avail, but he would begin by.
I mean, he's probably taken me down 450 times, but I've guillotined him 448 times.
Right, exactly. Right.
But man, he's the best. He's in the Navy. He's stationed in California somewhere right now. He's in San Diego, but I think he's going somewhere else. He's a Navy corpsman.
Yeah.
But maybe he's got a good question for any of these gentlemen tonight.
If he passes one, I'll pass it along to you guys. Yeah.
So, Chris, do you still train any of those other arts?
Yes. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, I was doing it more until up until the last couple of weeks, but yeah, I still do. And the thing is, if you know anything about Bruce Lee's art, the Jeet Kune Do, Bruce Lee's art, I mean, there is a physical manifestation of it, but I personally believe it is one of the best philosophies on training the martial arts that you'll ever find. If someone were to say to me, like, what's the best martial art? I don't have an answer for that, but I could tell you the best philosophical martial art is Bruce Lee's art, hands down, because he has analyzed every aspect of offense and every aspect of defense. He's analyzed how you should train and how you should process your training. So I apply it to my jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? Like in Bruce Lee's book, The Tao of Jeet Kune Do, he references the 5 ways of attack. And those 5 ways all can be applied to anything. They can be applied to firearms. They can be applied to jiu-jitsu, to wrestling, to boxing, to Muay Thai, to stick fighting. I still practice all of them. And, I unfortunately, well, that's a bad way to say that. Unfortunately, I probably do more jiu-jitsu still, because my fiance, she loves jiu-jitsu. My daughter, she loves jiu-jitsu. My best friend, she loves jiu-jitsu. So it's like, all right, you guys want to do some other stuff today? But usually the answer is no. They want to roll.
You're absolutely killing me, young man. You're killing me. I'm out here by myself with my dog. Going, I know. I'm looking at you, Brad. I feel you, man. It's like
quarantine down here. We'll roll.
It's so funny. It's like you look around at my friends, and a couple of them just got lucky in musical chairs. You know, they ended up and all of a sudden you got a partner. You know, like who knew? You know, who knew that this is going to be this long and all that? It was like
I got 9,000 square feet of mats just sitting there.
Can you imagine?
Nobody's using them except me by myself.
I know it's not good. Yeah, I cleared out a whole section of the barn over here for a different reason. I was clearing it out so we could do some live stream right from the barn. You know, some of the local acts that are around here. But there's this nice, maybe 18 by 16 space over here now that I could just drop the mat on and be all set.
I mean, I don't know. Hopefully, in the next few months, as things get a little.
Oh yeah, there's no question.
I mean, I don't think we're going to be. The gym is going to be open again anytime soon. Like, I don't think it's going to be within the next few months. But I mean, I was just going to say, like, I'm hopeful that I can have one or two dedicated training partners. Like, I've been talking to Greg Wood. He's a single guy. He's been like basically had no contact with anybody. You know, I may eventually. I'm getting to the point where I can't really take it anymore, and as long as it's in like a state.
So, are any of you guys in an area where you're allowed to open yet, or
no?
Are they going back to business? No. Yeah, I know.
I'm in Connecticut, and I'm like an hour and 10 minutes from New York City.
So I'm in New York, and
yeah, it's bad here.
Yeah, and he's Como, and and Jersey, Connecticut, New York, all the same. Yeah. They're going to put this all the way back to you're looking at July, and that's.
I think it's going to be longer than that. If you want.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I don't think we're going to be rolling again. I mean, you may be able to open, but what does that even mean? That means like 6 feet apart with grappling dummies. I don't want to do that.
As Brian said last week when he was on, Brian Marvin, I have a right to earn a living, and I keep my doors open. They opened up in Texas, but they weren't open for contact, and he was dead set on he was going to do contact this week. So I don't know how that went for him. I'm
not commenting on anyone's. Everyone's got a different opinion about it, and I'm not.
Definitely do.
And I own a gym, and it's my livelihood, and I'm not making money right now either. So I get it 100%. That's what I do for a living. But I also don't think it's worth risking the health and safety of my instructors, or my students to.
I agree. I agree with
something that I'm not sure is going to be safe. I'm not going to do that. So even if other gyms around here open, I'm not going to be open until I know it's safe for people to train.
Well, I agree with that, and I think I'm going to take all measures that I can to make sure that. I do what I can to make it safe, right? We're talking about.
Yeah, I mean, you can do as much as you can, but at the end of the day, you don't have a way to know if somebody's sick or not.
There's going to be there's a there's a couple of things coming in, some questions coming in, but there's going to be a number of ways to talk about opening other than just going back to the day, what it was like the day before everybody shut down. I mean, maybe having small groups, sign up and use the place for sure, but there's going to be ways at least for people are going to be creative. They're going to figure out a way for the clubs to at least get some income going again, and plus, like Brian was saying, different ways of like offering the class at home, doing that kind of thing, which interim until it does become, something that where if someone gets it, they're not going to die from it anymore and all that kind of stuff,
So I went and got tested yesterday. I did I took the
antibody.
I got both. I got the antibody test and the swab. Because they do it at the same time. Like I don't know what other states are like, but New Hampshire is pushing for testing.
New Hampshire opened it on Friday. Our government got a ton of tests coming through a private company around here called Clear Choice MD, which is like an urgent care, and they subsidized it, and they got a ton of tests. So it just happened like 2 days ago. So people aren't really.
I know a bunch of people in New Haven. There's an urgent care here that's doing both the tests as well, and I'm gonna do it this week too. Just because even though we don't really know, honestly, if you have antibodies, which I'm hoping I do, but nobody knows what that even means yet, right? Like, I mean, I guess what it means for me is like if I'm gonna have one or two training partners until this blows over.
There you go.
And we both have some sort of immunity, even though we don't know exactly what that means. I would, even though it's still a risk, I would feel safer. Like, oh, hey, Chris got a test. He looks like he was exposed to it in February. So was I. Let's train. We're probably not going to get each other sick,
Yeah.
So I looked into that this week too. So that's why I got my test. Because if I'm going to have my gym, same thing. I own a gym for a living. That's what I do. So got to take all the precautions.
Yeah, for sure. That's it, man. You know what? Honestly, it's not even having groups of people in there training, which I think is dangerous. is that you're the one that's being exposed to all those different groups all day long. So you got 4 people in for a class. Every 3 hours, you're exposed to like a new group of 15 people or whatever, and all their people. And so, yeah, you got to have some.
When it goes back to what will be the new norm, probably going to require people to have had the test.
I think so,
even though it doesn't prove, it doesn't prove much of anything. But if you had the antibodies, your risks are somewhat decreased, right?
One of the great things about this is of all the different things that people put up as to paths back to what we're looking for, which is R1. Like you're not gonna infect anybody more than one other person. Like that's the problem when it's higher, that percentage, right? There's no paths to that do not include having a bunch of people tested in America. So getting tested, as long as you don't have, I don't want to tell people what to do, but all of them require enough people to get tested someone can make a decision. And so if people don't get tested, none of this is going to happen anyway. So whatever your political view and all that is, it's a good idea to get as many people tested as we can. So if half the people in the country are tested, at least everybody will know what the hell's going on,
I mean, that's kind of one of the reasons why I did it, was I feel like everybody's always talking about like, we got to get to testing. We got to get the testing to figure out what to do next.
So let's get the testing.
I'm going to go get the test,
George made a really good point, too, which is that it looks like they're, right now, they're studying, my sister's in infectious disease at a hospital. She runs the infectious disease. They're studying, I talked to her this morning, the idea of using plasma from people who have had antibodies. Once they figure out which antibodies are XYZ, then they could use that, and that could actually be a way to mitigate this thing whole right off the top before we even get to a vaccine or whatever. So there are other possible science answers that how could we possibly know what those are? We're not scientists,
People are trying to knock down my door or trying to get my blood. They want.
There's a lot of. They're already doing that in Germany. There's I read in the Times a few weeks ago. There was an article about they were just doing random sampling like that, where they would literally a nurse and a doctor or a phlebotomist would go to your door, just randomly, out of this sample group that they had, and just take your blood and whatever. Now, I don't think in America people are going to let fucking some random stranger show up at your house and draw your blood.
Right, but
we don't really roll like that.
Not that way, but on the other hand, if you said here's 20 people,
I'd be down.
If they said there's 20 people on this block who wants to do this, and I'm sure someone will offer too.
You have a lot of people that would definitely not be offering it, and probably would shoot those people if they showed up.
Yeah, that's different.
I prefer it that way, because I wouldn't have to leave my house and go to a doctor's office.
Right.
Me and Tara were talking about going and getting that taken care of too, getting the test done.
Yeah, I think it's tough because nobody really knows what anything means, right? So there's not enough data around anything. But at some point, and some people obviously some jiu-jitsu school owners and stuff that are already fuck it, we're opening anyway. This is our right to do that, which I believe me, I totally get, even though it's not my opinion on it. At least until we know exactly what's what, at least if you're okay, I know at least I've been exposed to this, so I'm not as worried about getting other people sick. That would be my big thing. Not even me getting sick personally, but me, I don't want to, God forbid, one of my students goes home and they the guy that's my manager at my gym, Eric, who you guys know from Mexico, from the camps, Eric takes care of his mom, who's elderly and immunocompromised. He's her caregiver. She's in her 80s, that dude works full time at my gym. He can't, without having some kind of immunity test or something, there's no way that dude can go to work every day and then go home and take care of his mom. It's
right.
Right. It's not gonna happen,
Yeah, that's the struggle that I had last week when I was talking back and forth with Brian. Was that I have a responsibility to other people. God forbid, somebody else gets sick. Never mind the fact that somebody in the gym gets sick and they report that they were sick. My insurance company would drop me in a second, and then the lawsuits that can come from that is just craziness.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of people. Yeah, man. There's a whole lot of gray areas, issues around the issue, right? And again, I'm not one of these dudes. I pretty much deleted, except for the online classes that we do and Facebook for promoting that stuff, for the gym, for my business. I'm off of Facebook. I cannot stand all this bullshit. flooding my brain every day. People arguing about this guy's getting that, this guy who I like, a guy that I, people that I know and respect really well, and Chris like knows from our community around here, and just some of the shit that these people are saying, and I'm just like, I'm biting my tongue because I get along with everybody and I don't want any beef, but it's like, dude, it's just people are heated about it one way or the other, and I just can't.
Everybody's got their view, right? But it just, some of the things are ridiculous. You have to have a sense of responsibility.
That's what I'm saying before. People are going to do what they think is the responsible thing to do for their gym and for their business and for their community, and I'm going to do that too. And if that's America. That's the beautiful thing about it. If you as long as you're doing your thing in a safe way, if you think that's the right thing to do, you can go ahead and do it.
It was like I was saying before, they had a couple of schools out here that, 15, 20 guys were getting together in a basement and they're ready to roll. And they're like, hey, Joe, come on, that professor, come on down and roll with us. I'm like, yeah, nah, I don't think so.
Well, I mean,
what kind of example are you setting for your students by doing that?
Everybody has to be careful too that this doesn't explode into a media thing. Like, all you need to do is get the local, TV channel getting their cameras down to your place, going, look what these guys are doing, and all of a sudden, all this changes because the politics of where we are and like right now, it's usually pretty good. I mean, you're helping veterans, setting up a good situation for people to get aggression out, a lot of there's connections to suicide and health and all these positive things, bullying, helping young people get strong when they feel weak. All of this stuff is pretty positive. A couple of these rogue things going off with the wrong people with the cameras could change the feeling of how people approach things too. So I think, just since we're in a podcast situation, I can't resist not putting that out. I mean, we have to think of every strategy, and one strategy is if I'm stuck at home and I have nothing to do with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and these guys are all getting together and sweating on each other, that's going to be frustrating, even if I have no idea. So, let alone for me, can't do it. So,
I mean, I know groups of my students are training. Like, I know that for a fact. I know, I know lots of people that are training right now. I mean, I had knee surgery right before this all started, so I haven't been I literally have not rolled, and it's been almost 12 weeks since I've like actually been able to train. I mean, I was teaching classes before all this, but man, like, I'm like going crazy. I'm really going crazy right now. Like, I'm sure all you guys are, and everyone else is. Like, I just want to train so bad. This is like my longest layoff from jiu-jitsu in 12 years, 13 years, something like that. I had ACL surgery like in 2007, but before that, I mean, it's hard, but it's also for me, like, that's just my feeling about it. I know a lot of people are rolling right now, but I guess for me, I'm just like, until I know that that's like a smart thing for me to be doing, or for,
Absolutely. You're getting support from, you're getting support from the comments here too. People are
compliant with everything that they've said and asked, right?
Yeah, me too.
And I don't give a shit about politics. The left, right, the Dems, come on, man. That's children's discussion.
I don't care either. I don't care at all.
But they nickeled and dimed us. Oh, it's just going to be for 2 weeks. Oh, it's just to the end of this month. Oh, it's like, listen.
It's because nobody knows, right?
Well, and now here's the problem with that. So if you don't know, because that's the other thing. All you got to do is log into your Facebook profile, and there's 30 experts and about 100 homeschooled scientists. And my personal belief is, if you don't know, shut your mouth. Don't talk about it.
Good luck saying that on Facebook.
I agree 100%. That's why I got off of that shit.
I agree.
You don't know.
Garbage.
If you don't know, don't say anything.
But Chris, man, like, nobody knows. That's the thing. Like, nobody knows right now.
And
everyone thinks they do, though. That's
everyone thinks they do, but no one's like, everyone. The state can be like, okay, on this day, we're planning, you can reopen, but if there's still like 500 people dying every day in your city, like, how the fuck are you going to do that?
And that's the other.
So it's not even just about the amount of people that are dying. Not that I don't mean to make it sound like heartless, but so you're saying it was 500 people, don't open, but you're opening everything else, and like you just said, you've got students that that are rolling. So listen, I'll get into the politics and all this stuff,
but it's bullshit that everybody's out doing their own thing, and I can't open my business doors.
Dude,
if
I
you're
agree
not going to
100%.
follow it, if you're not going to follow it 100%,
I think it has to be all or nothing, right? Like everyone has to be all in that they get to like do their part, or like
right. But that's what's wrong with our society.
Yeah.
You're not going to get all in because we've been raised with, I'm going to do what I want. You're not going to tell me what to do.
Yeah.
So
let me tell you guys something. Let me tell you guys something that I do know. When they asked me if I wanted to do the swab test in the nose, I was like, I don't know, man. I saw that on Facebook, and they're like, it's not like that. We're not gonna swab your brain. I was like, all right, I'll do it. And it was like nothing. Because at first I was like, man, I heard about that shit on Facebook, dude. You ain't sticking the swab up my nose.
This is the one time oh, come on. You can totally do it. You could do this. Come on.
Oh, dude, everybody can do it because it's not that bad. They just do a little tiny. It's not touching your brain.
Oh, the video I saw, that thing went in about this far.
That's exactly what I was thinking, but I didn't want to say out loud.
They told you to bend
That's
over.
the problem. It went in.
Like there's nothing there to hit.
If normally you hit somebody's brain and it hurts, with George, your brain's over here, so you're just banging against bones and shit, right?
Yeah, I don't feel it. I don't know. I don't feel it, man. And he's got his whole arm up my nose.
George, where they going, it's just a tip. It's just a tip.
That's what they told me.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
No. I'm on your side, man. I'm supporting it. I'm trying not to jump in. I'm trying to, like, stay over here on this one. All right.
I fell for it, man. I fell for it.
I got we got a white belt question coming in.
Let's have it.
It's kind of serious, but I'll just say the whole thing. And
all white belts.
All right. From the king of all white belts. White belt question. Other than drilling, which I know is extremely important from my Met wrestling background, he's already like lightly low-key like flexing on you there, George, but whatever. How do you all go about working on your weaknesses? For instance, if your sweeps or your attacks from the guard are weak, which his are, do you focus on one area only out of bad positions, or do you just work on those issues as they arise?
Okay. Couple of things. If let's say if we're talking about sweeps, all right. I would say you definitely should start with the most difficult aspect of a sweep. But more importantly, can you yourself define what a sweep is? Most people can't really define what a sweep is. Now you think about it, but can you really? All right, so if you say to somebody, what's a sweep? It's when I was playing guard and, you know what I mean? What's a sweep? If someone said to you, what's a sweep? So clinically, all right, technically, a sweep is anytime the actions of your guard create an exchange of position. Now, so the essence of sweeping, in other words, sometimes I might make you sit down because maybe you felt threatened. So maybe I set up a sweep by attacking your arm and you're like, fuck you, you ain't gonna arm bar me. Boom, there's my opportunity to sweep you. But if you think of in terms of, okay, the instructor, professor showed I lace my leg through here, I go here, and oh man, it's not working. Because again, it's the actions of your guard that are creating it, not just doing a step-by-step sequence. You'd be surprised. Attack somebody, and then when they go to defend, there's your opportunity to sweep. You see what I'm saying? So I think it would start with that first, defining what exactly a sweep is. And again, it seems like it's an easy thing, but most people don't have, a sweep, that's butterfly guard, and when I do this. Right, but what did you do with the butterfly guard? What did you do? Why do you think a leg lasso is so compelling? Why do you think it helps? Define what you're trying to do and accomplish and build from there. And without a doubt, always be progressive with it. And I'll shut up and stop hijacking.
It's not hijacking. This is why we're here, is to hear the answers, man.
No, it was a good breakdown, man. It's really each move you got to have, something to back it up, right? So I think the question was around more of, he was asking, how do we attack your weak points, right? So first you find out, if it's a sweep or whatever it may be, what works for you, and then what I do personally, my own thing is, if I find something that's working, that I want work for me, that fits my body style or my structure, I just concentrate on that move. And I don't wait till the situation arises. I attack that and I keep going at it until it's up to par.
Again. The old school approach to that is, and tell me if I'm wrong here, would be, that's why we roll with people who are lower belts and people who are higher belts, right? So, where I'm at, if I've got something that's awkward or that I really like, but I think there's something in there I don't know, I'm going to lay it on some white belts and see how that goes. But I'm not going to pull it out if I'm rolling with, somebody who's going to beat the hell out of me. How would you adjust that to, like, our friend Kyle here who's talking about it from the white belt point of view? I mean, there's really not, you have your friends, that just started with you, but pretty much everybody else is going to be coming at you at a higher level. I
would say that initially make sure you understand what it is you're trying to do in the first place.
Right.
And once you understand it, I mean, start from those positions. If you're having a bottom of side control is a problem for you, every time you roll, ask your partner, hey, can we start with me on the bottom of side control? And understand, escapes from that position and work them. I mean, personally, when I have something I want to get better at, I'll focus on nothing but that until I understand it and I can apply it, I spent like omoplata. I wanted to get better at that and understand it more. I spent months doing nothing but getting into guard and going through omoplatas, and from that I developed so much from coming up with sweeps from that position, and just by doing nothing but that, focusing on it. And if you're in a position where you can't set it up in the roll, ask your partner, hey, can we start from this position? I need to work on it.
Positional, right?
I think positional training is the key to it, just like you said. So you're saying the question's coming from a white belt, and as a white belt, it's like, well, everybody is getting it on me. Well, it's the old expression, right? You're the nail, and someday you become the hammer. But you keep training it that way, and one day you'll be the hammer.
I think for me, it's more like it's like a little bit of a different approach. It's more like progressive resistance when I'm drilling. So you have to find a partner that's a good partner, especially if you're like a newer guy or girl. And you have to be able to have the partner that has the sensitivity and the sensibility to be able to train with you at different levels. So you can't just, and like Preet and some of these other guys that I really look up to and that are kind of like my jiu-jitsu gurus talk a lot about that. And it's really this idea of drilling like at different levels of resistance. You can't just be like, all right, I'm going to start on the bottom at half guard and just get smashed. I mean, you can do that, and eventually you will get better at getting out from that position, because everyone has to get smashed from the bottom before they can get good at escaping. That's all I got good at, escaping the mount. I was always on the bottom, so I didn't have a choice. I had to get good at it. Or your guard has to get good because you get put on the bottom all the time, right? So eventually you will get better, but if you want to speed up that process, then you need somebody that you can train with at like 40% resistance to work a specific position, or 50% resistance. And you need to be able to do that at a point where you can rep that move or that position or that concept over and over again with limited resistance, building it until eventually that's like a strong position from you. And like these guys said, I agree 100%. You just do like the same thing over and over again. I've been working on this one, that stupid loop choke thing, loopatine thing that I invented. I've been working on that for a year and a half, just doing that.
Is this the one front bottom half where you pull out your own?
And now I have that position from top, bottom. Basically, I can do that position from everywhere now. We were for the last year and a half.
Go ahead. We were in Mexico, and Brad showed that, and I remembered it. Then I completely it fell off my radar, and I had just right about the time that we were finishing up here, like December or whatever. I'm like hanging out. I like to play half anyway, and I'm like, what? hang on, and I totally forgot it. So it was after you had come to, Brad, you had visited the place, and I wanted to at least try doing it on you. Not that it was going to work, but it was just to show you that I remembered it, right? Totally forgot it, and I'm hoping that you made an instructional about that somewhere, because I completely just forgot, because there's a spin under section to it, and I don't have it in my head right. So anyway.
Yeah, but I guess the point is, like, for me, like, and I wish I had discovered that approach like 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Because instead I just did, like, I took the harder route, which is just get the shit beat out of me for, like, years and years and years until I figured it out. But, like, that's a really tough way. I mean, you know, at some level we all have to do that, right? That's how we get better. It builds character. You get tougher. You have to be comfortable in, like, getting the crap beat out of you, right? Or having someone's knee on you, or having their shoulder in your jaw. But after a while, you're like, all right, man, there's, like, an easier way to do this, you know, like. And I just wish I wasn't 40-odd years old and all, like, destroyed with gross fingers. And
right, you want to start when,
you know,
everybody wants to start young.
Before I figured that out, you know, because I think that drilling with progressive resistance is like a game changer.
If you guys, let me jump on the question and ask a personal version of it, right? So I picked up another one off Brad forever ago, back when we were in the old academy there. Where it's sort of like a paper cutter, but you're attacking the arm that's underneath here, right? It's kind of like a sneaky little Americana out of nowhere, right?
Yeah, that's Marcio's move. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember you showed it. You actually showed it to me after a class once. I didn't know me from anybody. I was a blue belt or whatever. But you had done it. And I'm like, can you show me that? And you showed it to me. Anyway, so I have a couple of really good friend training partners. We've been training together for a long time. And I remember pulling that out not so long ago, about like a year and a half ago, on one of these guys, and just hitting it like 3 times. Yeah. So my thing was, like, immediately, like, dude's like, what's going on? And I want to tell everything. I'm asking you, is this, what do you guys think? Is this totally? I want to mutually tell everybody exactly what I'm doing, so it's not a trick anymore. So that if I'm doing it, it's because I'm doing it right, not because you didn't see it coming or one of these kinds of things. Is that crazy, or should I just be sitting on these tricks and not telling anybody and let them figure it out their own damn self?
I love your approach to it, man. If it's working, why not spread it and share it? You know,
definitely share it, man. Definitely.
Yeah,
share it. I'll be in the middle of a roll.
As long as you catch somebody in it first, like 5 or 6 times, then you.
Well, that's you guys. Some of you,
as long as you already caught the dude, then sure.
Most of you guys know Jay, who is the guy who George and Jay run the club, and he's not on the call tonight. But for those of you who don't know Jay, I mean, that's the rule, right? Like,
he's a monster, yeah.
You go to a seminar, you learn your new stuff, and you get to sit on it for a week.
1 month.
And then next week, everybody's going to be like, "What's going on?" Right?
You get 1 month. But
month, George, that's way too much. No. 1 week.
You get a month. You went to the seminar. You get a month of having that.
No.
And then after a month, after we've gotten you with it 14, 15 times, whatever.
Yeah, that's silly.
I'm still not sharing with
I'm not old. I'm too old. I'm freaking 56. I can't be waiting that long. Let's get go.
A month.
Let's go. Let's go.
You're still a kid.
It's true.
When I learn something new, guys, you guys all kids next to me.
If I learn a new move, a new technique, what I do is I go hunting for the white belts first. All right, and I'm like, okay, I go and I work my way up. I'm like, I find not like a first day white belt, but I look for an athletic white belt. You know what I mean? Okay, cool, and I get it. Then once I feel comfortable, I go and I look for the blues, I go to the purples, I go to the browns, and then the black belts. That's how I go and learn a move. And the reason why I do it that way is because I want you to know. If it's my move, I want you to know it's coming. I want you to know it's coming, and because by that time, I've worked all the bugs out. So if it's my move, stop it. You know what I mean? Bring it on. Shut me down. If it's my move, I should be able to do it when you know it's coming. It's like
like you're calling your shot, right?
Yeah.
The key to that is you develop, right? Everybody has their move, their 1 or 2 moves that they go to, right? You change your setup. So the more I let people know what I'm about to do. You know,
absolutely.
You know, Ryan. I'll tell Ryan what I'm about to submit him with every single time.
Well, see, that's the thing. There's a personality thing too. If it's with my buddy, like if it's with the state cop, I am going to tell him literally what's going to happen, just so that he knows that he's getting the shit beat out of him by a piano teacher. Right? That is, I take a very perverse joy out of making that shit happen. But yeah,
it forces me to change my setup too, right? So my setups become different, and I can hit it from different angles. So it's definitely tell him it's coming, and we keep working it more and more. Soko will practice something with us, and he'll do the one move, and he's going to submit you with that move every time, and he'll go through everybody in the school that move to perfect the move.
So it's funny because we started off talking about Rickson, and this is a very Rickson thing. You would hear Rickson, he would only submit you with one thing over and over. But a long time ago, Riddler went to let the dog out, but he would remember these things. We used to, when I started training judo, like when I was a teenager, and at our judo club, we used to have a thing on the night before Thanksgiving, and we called it Pie Night. And you would people would come from all over, and you would train super hard, and then we would go eat pie after. And you had to have a slice of every pie that somebody bought was the rule. But like one night, I was probably like 20, and there was a guy there, and I didn't know who he was. Super nerdy guy, and he's got like a pocket protector and all this stuff, and like we're doing randori, standing up. And I threw the guy, and like the whole place, like everybody stopped and looked and was like, "Holy shit!" And I'm like, "What? You know what?" And then the guy started telling, and his name was Dick, and I was like, "I don't know, some nerdy engineering guy, you know." And he starts telling me after that what he was going to throw. Now I'm going to throw you with left side of Sotogari, bam. Now I'm going to throw you with right side this, bam. And I'm getting thrown all over the mat. I'm like, "Holy shit!" And it ended up being Jimmy Pedro's father-in-law, and he just like it was. I was like, wow, like I never had that happen until then. The guy just started telling me what he was going to do, and bam, there I would go over and over, and it was unbelievable. It was impressive. But I've heard Rickson talk about. If he was working on something, he would only armbar you like this. I'm just working on my armbar. I'm just going to use the armbar, and he would armbar everybody.
Yeah.
But I know Kyle, who originally asked the question, and I would say because when I started too, I was I came from judo, so like I could pin people and I could do that stuff, but I had absolutely no guard whatsoever. And wrestlers don't generally have any kind of guard, right? They can bring pressure, and so anytime wrestlers come in, I'm always like, listen, just like let go of the wrestling for a little while and just play off your back, because it's no wrestler ever in the history of wrestling wants to be on their back. And so I'm always like, just try to play guard until that becomes a normal thing, and then bring your wrestling back into the equation.
Yeah, I agree.
Guys, listen, I'm gonna have to drop. George, I gotta drop off, man. Be good. It was a great time, guys. Thanks. Take care.
Uncle Joe, always a pleasure.
Great to talk to you, man. Great to talk to you.
I got 5 more minutes. So I got to take this guy out too. He's getting
cool.
Know it.
Or else there's going to be a mess on my.
All right, everybody, be safe, man. Be safe.
Take care, man.
Take care, brother. You know, the thing about wrestlers is, I think is awesome, is if they do, like what you're saying, George, if they do say the hell with it, put the wrestling down for a moment and learn to play off their back, they're beasts. You know what I mean? Because like wrestlers, they know how to grind, they know how to hustle, they know how to control the top. You give them a bottom game, and then now all of a sudden it's like, oh man, this guy's a problem. You know, I think it's an awesome skill set to have. I've trained a little bit of wrestling. I've trained some judo, and I think that any jiu-jitsu player who doesn't have some wrestling or judo in their background, they're missing out. You know what I mean? I'm not going to say that they suck or whatever. I wouldn't say that, but they're missing out. You definitely. I mean, George, you know, you competed. That that takedown, man, is huge. Or being able to stop someone's takedown is huge. So,
or understanding too, because I mean, it seems like you get so much more exhausted fighting for a takedown, right? And so if you're not used to that, and then you compete, you're like, whoa, man, it's exhausting.
Yeah, it is. It is.
Riddler, you missed them. I told these guys the story when Dick Therian threw me all over the place at Pie Night.
Dick used to do something, not to call him out to it. He's a pretty legendary black belt at the time. Both George and I had known each other for like 20-something years, back when George used to call himself Vitamin G, and I used to be terrified of everybody. But both of us got pretty good at judo, and then I took a bunch of time off, and long story, but anyway, got into jiu-jitsu later on. But Dick used to do something that was cool. Those guys used to train like legit. There's a bunch of older dudes around here who did the same thing, who kind of trained legit self-defense, meaning they'd beat the hell out of each other. They wouldn't kill each other, but they'd try to treat it like real, not even like semi-real like MMA. He used to talk and yap and yip and distract you with his voice, which I know that everybody laughs and they all think it's funny, right? But I'll tell you, like, the first couple of times I came into jiu-jitsu out of judos down at Tim Burrell's, and he had a set of monsters. This is where he was in the smaller, used to be in the smaller club. And I had a pretty big ego coming in out of judo and stuff. And so, if I'm on my back and I need to get out, I'm going to go, I'm going to really make some noise and get the hell out of there, explode, right? It's judo, jiu-jitsu. I remember Tim just coming by going, you're going to have to stop doing that, like that's not how we get out of stuff, right? You got to learn the technique. And I'm like, okay, like I'm into it, I get it. Same thing, like, but Dick used to do this thing where he put his hands on you, and I've done it a couple of times with some of my friends or whatever, where you just make them know that they're about to get fucking thrown now, whether it actually works or not, but it's in like a fighting version of that. It's like if you saw Gaethje last night when he was done, like he had to just yell just to get back to like reality, and so I'm not criticizing jiu-jitsu at all. I love jiu-jitsu, and I don't want to do that every day, but he used to be a master of that. He just talk, yip, make all these weird little noises. Who else does that? Bruce Lee, right? Like it was a cool, it's easy to make fun of that shit. It's like making fun of Aikido. I mean, if you just totally say all I'm going to do is Aikido, then you're probably going to get punched in the face, right? But it doesn't mean that everything in Aikido is useless at all. I mean, in fact, not at all. There's all these big, huge portions. And that dude used to do, I just kind of wish that I had enough, like, I don't know, just like enough mojo or whatever to bring some of that stuff back in, because it's a different thing. Certainly not in a regular class, but there is something to be said about looking at like the way you react in a holistic sense, not just, I'm not talking about in a regular jiu-jitsu situation, but it's a lot of things that many of you black belts dudes do sometimes when you're squaring up that is giving an impression that this is going to go badly for the other person. I don't mean you're doing in this way negative at all. It's just part of the deal, right? And so I just wonder why we don't explore that a little more, But that said, I don't want to see, I mean, Gordon Ryan's annoying enough already. I don't want to hear him yelling while he's trying to beat somebody up too. So,
well, I used to train with a guy, Cicero Celestiano. And he was an old guy. He's a real old guy, but he had a solid game. He was about 60. And getting down, showing us, rolling with us. And when I would roll with him, anytime I was about to walk into danger, or he saw the opportunity to like let me know where I was on the food chain, he would just go,
It's just
'Cause,
psychologically devastating, right?
Yeah, and I'm like, all right, go ahead, here it comes. So I don't really know what's going to happen. I just know that I'm about to get fucked up. You know what I mean?
Maybe it's just because I'm older and I want to make sure that I have at least some skill that actually works. And if the hands don't work, at least I can just scare somebody into. But it's just like I still do it today. I mean, if we're setting up and we're about to go, and I want that hand, I'm going to go like this. It's just enough to get that reaction. I mean, I've never seen it in a jiu-jitsu playbook, but if you can get somebody to look over there, this hand's going to be easy to grab. I mean, I learned it from the guy who trained with Jimmy Pedro, so I guess I can't see it being, I don't feel guilty doing it. I'm not hitting somebody in the eye.
I mean, it's like wrestling, hand checks, or, you're bringing your
It's
hand
just
up.
distracting. I mean,
somebody to go to the legs or something.
Yeah,
yeah,
totally.
It's like a juke. It's like it's a way to get to where
like
you're trying to get.
boxing, right? Like,
Yeah, but yeah, exactly. But it would be cooler to just go, hey, what's that?
Can I just say I wish my name was Cicero, because that guy's name was awesome.
I guess.
Still, Chris Smith, I still use the I think that dude's like son-in-law or son or something. Like,
Yeah, his son-in-law.
in your place one time, and like,
Yep.
and he like showed Eric Sclair this guard pass. I wasn't there that Sunday when I used to go to your place when you were in Waterbury with E. Sclair and Joe and train. But Eric came back. He's like, let me show this guard pass that, like, what's his name? The guy's son showed me, and he showed it to me, and I was like, fuck. I'd never seen that before, and I haven't seen it since then, and I still pull it out once in a while. And I learned that move from that guy's son. Yeah, he's some cool shit.
That's awesome.
I know you guys are going to need to go pretty soon. We got one last
I gotta
question.
go take my dog out, so I'm going to say good night to you guys, actually. But
no worries. I'm going to ask
talking to you guys. It was nice
you guys
to
are the best.
It's nice to see you, man. Chris, nice to see you, bro.
Rock and roll.
And hopefully we'll be back at it soon enough, man. I miss you guys.
Miss you too, brother.
I
miss you too.
I'd like my life back.
Yeah. Hey, our club, you can bring dogs in now. So you're all set. You should bring Teddy up.
Yeah. Well, he's always with me. He usually stays at my parents when I come visit you, but we'll bring him next time for sure.
It's good to see you, man.
Yeah.
All right. I'll see you guys soon. Be well.
Later, brother.
Take care, bro.
Take care, Brash.
You guys got time for one more question?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
before you get into that, I wanted to ask you guys a question too. You can only do solo drills so much. I mean, is there anything you guys are doing now as far as from a training standpoint? I know me personally, this has been great for me as far as like rehab and healing is going. And I haven't done, much jiu-jitsu at all. I mean, I do some like little drills by myself here, but I've been spending this entire time just doing like mobility work.
Yeah.
And it's like been the way I feel now compared to 8 weeks ago is like I feel like almost brand new compared to then. And I was just wondering if you guys were doing anything, on a physical level.
Myself and my fiance, we're both yoga instructors. Okay. So I swear by yoga. She lifts weights also. I'm starting to get into that. I decided I'm going to kind of starting. I haven't done it yet. but I use the yoga. And I have a couple of different flows and sequences that I do. And before all the self-quarantining stuff, I was taking yoga class 4, sometimes 5 times a week.
Wow.
And that helps me out tremendously.
Yeah, my girlfriend was a yoga instructor too for quite a while. So I haven't done it with her, but the mobility stuff I've been doing it more from like a rehab standpoint because of a couple of injuries I have. But it's very yoga-ish the way I do it. So
sure.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, man.
I would say keep doing that.
Yeah.
So I started doing yoga during this thing, but I also started meditating. And so like, man, right. But I mean, it's quite an adventure. And I talked a lot to Henry Akins about this too, because it's like, I've been doing it every day. Like I made a commitment to do it every day, and so I've been trying to do it. But my mind is so I've been trying to work on my mental game, right? And I've been reading different books, you know, like the Unfettered Mind, which is by an old Zen samurai warrior.
Yeah, I know the book. I don't have it, but I know the book. Yeah.
So I read that, but I've been trying to meditate every day, and yoga, which is also, I guess, a form of meditation. You know, I don't do like hot yoga, but I mean, I've done it once, but obviously not doing it now. But man, meditating is I mean, I got a long way to go. You know, obviously, it's because I now know how my mind is like. You know, a swarm of crazy bees, you know what I mean? Or whatever. Like, so that's been an interesting trip for sure.
I assume you and Amanda are still doing jiu-jitsu though, no?
No, man. Like, believe it or not, no. So I haven't trained in a while. Like, I mean, I've done some Zoom stuff and some drill stuff too, but I'm not like, and it's helpful, but that's not, I've been throwing kettlebells around a little bit too, which is not a normal thing for me. But kettlebells, I've been doing a ton of. I got into this push-up thing, and so like I've been doing a lot of push-ups.
Didn't I hear someplace you were big on the goblet squat? Didn't I hear that at some point?
Yeah. So that was a thing. Like
that may have gotten him,
but I called it the goblin squat. I'm like
goblin.
Yeah, like I was like. I asked my buddy who's a you know personal trainer. I was like, dude, what do you think about these goblin squats? He's like, what? What's a goblin squat? Yeah, so I've been doing goblet squats with the kettlebell. Like I've been running. I got back into running, which for me is good, you know, for my head. Maybe not great for my knees or whatever, but I've been trying to run, read. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
You know, instead of, because normally I'm at the Jiu-Jitsu Academy 6 days a week and I work a job and I do all these other things. And so, you know, I've been trying to do reading the history of Jiu-Jitsu stuff and thinking of, you know, doing a ton of podcasts, trying to learn. I'd like to come out of this thing better than when I came in other ways, maybe than, you know, my jiu-jitsu probably not going to get better, but other ways we can get better, right? I think.
I took a whole course on cognitive behavioral therapy and passed the certification like a week ago. So, I mean, it's definitely like some positives that are coming out of it, but, you know, you miss jiu-jitsu, but it's definitely been a good thing for me, you know, to get the time off and to be able to, you know, do all the mobility and, you know, start feeling better, physically feeling better. Because I'm not too far from you, Riddler, age-wise. I mean, I'm right there with you. So,
well, one of the things you said, you know, when you have time away from this, you get a good read on, you know, your injuries clear up, things like that. One of the things I noticed that all the little stuff obviously clears up, which just makes me depressed because I like getting up in the morning and feeling like I just got run over by a truck because I'm used to it, right? But but what it did point out is the things that aren't getting better, right? So I got something going on my neck, which I've never really taken care of because I mean, your neck always hurts after you turn 50, right? And roll. And so it is pointing out that there's some things that I am going to have to address, that this, even with the rest, is not going away. But physically, for me, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to make sure that I'm strengthening up the parts that I know are the most vulnerable. For me, it's shoulders. From all those years of judo and shit. I got some rings hanging up over there, and I'm a musician, so for me, everything is about consistency. George pissed me off the other day with this whole, he's doing 400 push-ups. I can't do 400 push-ups because my shoulders are shit, so I'm doing 250. 250 of the poppers, 250 of the poppers that I can do. I'm just adding them in. I'm going to do those every day. Not going to bed until they're done. So, but the hanging from the rings has changed everything. Look at this. This is not possible. I've never been able to do this, not for 20 years. It's all from just hanging 30 seconds, 50 seconds, 60 seconds. I Still can't hold weight like totally straight over my head. I still have a little bit of a bend here. Even that's starting to go. My kid is a DPT and doctor of physical therapy, and he's like, shoulders made up of a lot of soft bone. It's not all bone. A lot of it's tendon. A lot of it's cartilage, whatever his words. Not my. I don't know what his words are. But he's like, yeah, you hang, you're gonna all these little micro tears are gonna keep healing in the right way. That's what you do when you strengthen. So he couldn't have been more right. I mean, I've been doing it for a while now, but the hanging is changing everything. So now 25 pull-ups. Fucking George got me 250 poppers every day. But and then we do the daily dozen, the stuff that George and I have been doing since the beginning of time, every day anyway. It's just the old judo warm-up. We probably know how to sit throughs and going around the corner and that kind of stuff. And so the thing is that it's super consistent now, and I think that's the biggest difference for me, is that I refuse to be coming back after all this and not being able to take advantage of the fact that a lot of these young guys got fat as fuck. So I got a good week and a half of just bashing everybody before the reality sets back in. That's what my attitude.
Before it goes back to normal.
Yeah, man. So there's your answer. I'm getting my attitude together. I spend all my time by myself anyway doing the music. I have had enough of meditation and stuff like that. It's all good for you guys. I just want to go argue with somebody right now.
So Kyle's question number 2 is good.
It is. Let me ask it for him since I've been asking him. See if you guys are willing to answer this one. It's a toughie. I have my own version of this answer, but I'll ask you please to answer it. Question number 2, white belt question. I'll be headed to a new academy, not sure which one, when I move in July. How do you approach live rolls in a new academy? I ran into a problem here in San Diego. What he's not telling you is it was Victory, but so it wasn't just any academy, but whatever. Where some of the blue belts came from my head because I hit submissions on them and more or less control the roll, which we make jokes about him being a white belt. Kyle's
he's a beast.
Loves it. He also trains really hard, and he's one of those guys that if he just like opens up the limiters and lets it go, he's got a lot of power. He's fast. He thinks well. And if he decides he's going to get on it, he can probably figure it out. Anyway, so apparently the blue belts are coming for his head because he was controlling them. So he goes, I'm not going to sandbag my techniques, but would you warm up to the new academy before you start rolling hard? Anybody want to grab that? What is your advice for young Kyle?
I would say a couple things. So the first thing, either A, have the most nondescript kimono you can get. Like, in other words, just plain, like no...
You mean you don't want to show up in all origin with a big picture of Jocko on your rash guard like Kyle always does to Jocko's club? It's all good.
So, yeah. So
what a great answer.
Don't wear that gi. So make it just simple. Either buy their gi if they have a gi that they prefer you to wear, or just have a plain white gi. All right, start with that. And if you know your game, if you're confident in yourself, when I roll with somebody new at a new place, I tend to I keep it in second gear. You know what I mean? Like just, definitely get, cycle through first, get into second gear, and I'll hang out in second gear and just drive around the neighborhood. And then if someone else brings it up into third gear, I'm like, okay, cool. We can get down like this. So I usually, when I first arrive at a new place, I let them dictate. I kind of see what the vibe is, what the culture is. But once I feel comfortable, do your thing. Do your thing. You know what I mean? If you've got it, if you've got it in you to kill.
I agree. I agree with you totally on that. Like I always have that tendency of just sitting back and, letting people do their thing, you just be upfront about, you know, what your skills are, you know. I mean, it kind of sucks when someone walks in with a white belt, right? This happened to me. And I asked the guy, how long are you training? Oh, about 2 months. Okay. Where you want to start? Up, down? Where you want to position, whatever? No, we can start up. That's cool, man. All right, cool. I'm thinking the guy trained 2 months, so I'm like not really putting much effort into it. And then dude just fucking throws me, dude. And I was like, what the fuck was that? Oh, I trained judo for 20 years. Yeah. You know, be upfront about your skill, you know, and like you said, like Chris said, you know, put your toe in the water, see how it's going to be a little bit, but definitely be upfront about things, you know?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think it's safe to say you have control over the situation whenever you go anywhere, to a certain extent. Obviously, you can go to a place where, you know, they're all trying to kill you, but, you know, we had this great guy came up from, I think he came from Hawaii, but anyway, I don't want to call him out, but he was a really great guy, kind of flew through the club, was in the area, you know, hung out and trained like 2 or 3 classes, and I happened to be at most of those classes. Dude had the Hingertine from hell, right? And like, I'm like, there's nobody who really plays it that way at our club. So I came in, I'm doing my thing. I'm always respectful. He was also a purple belt. Look, we're not going to war. He's a good guy. Just nailed me with the Hingertine. And I'm like, okay, so I got a choice. I can either like pull out my game, we can go to do this thing, or I'm like, you know what? Let's just do this. Like, I'm going to roll easy, come around. I'm going to see it coming, and I'm going to learn where it's coming from, right? And I actually asked him, I go, you cool if we roll this way? He's like, yeah, great. And we actually had a really cool roll, and I learned a lot about how to set that up from this guy, you know, as a result. And he didn't seem to mind me using him as a learning role, but I figure, you know, what's the point, you know, he's a visitor, like, I don't have to worry about the club. There were some badasses at the club if he wants to feel like the club's tough or whatever, but I didn't feel like being the badass that day. What do you think? I mean, is that an okay thing, or am I letting down the club? Do I need to represent?
You don't always have to represent, but I'd like to just say something about what Rich said, which I think is important and doesn't get brought up enough. When you're rolling with new people, you got to always like protect yourself too, because you don't know what, you know, like, I mean, I'm not saying you got to just slay them, but you got to be aware that, like, I don't know, because there are a lot of people that do what Rich said is like, you know, I'm brand new, and you're rolling with them, they're doing stuff, and you're like, this guy is not brand new. You know what I mean? I know for a fact. But I think you always got to roll with somebody new in a protect yourself kind of way so you don't get hurt. And then you can, once you're familiar with people, then you start, like, you know, going from there. But I always think, man, you don't want to get hurt, but, you know, because you don't know who you're rolling with.
Yeah.
You know, George, I agree, especially the whole protect yourself thing. When I was a purple belt, right, I went to an open mat training session, right? And there's a whole bunch of guys that I know. Brad was there even. And this guy, one of Brad's friends, was like a 2 or 3 stripe purple belt, but I didn't know that because he was wearing a white belt. So this dude's wearing a white belt at an open mat, and he's like, hey, you want to roll? And I'm like, yeah, sure, why not? And I take him down, and he ripped an arm bar, and I was like, what the, you know, I'm like, yo. And then I was really upset with myself. I'm like, are you kidding me? I just got armbarred by a white belt? Right. And they're like, dude, that's blank. He's a 2 or 3 stripe purple belt. And I'm like, oh, I was really pissed. Now I'm really mad. But to your point, that was on me. I should have, and ever since that time, I'm like, you know, I'll either ask, like, you know, like how you were saying, Rich, and with that, I protect myself, you know? So I've got a guy who I train sometimes, and the first time he came to my gym, said, so what's your deal? What's your background? You know, I did a little bit of jiu-jitsu. He wrestled for 7 years.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, you got to say that. He goes, well, you asked if I had trained. I said, yes, but I'm like, dude, mat time is mat time, you know? So...
Yeah, so the example I think comes to my head in this is this guy's first night, And so I'm like, oh, this is your first night. You've never trained, but same thing. And next thing you know, I'm in the cradle. And I was like, oh, motherfucker. I was like, when I get out of this, you are dead.
Yeah.
But I learned a good lesson. You know what I mean? It's like I treat everybody as like they're sandbagging me,
Yeah.
Yeah, and Louis should be super clear. King of the White Belts here is not going to come in and we're not talking about that dude anymore. He's super respectful and all that kind of stuff. But obviously coming in and rolling hard. And I guess if that's what you want to do, is if you want to roll hard, then what are you complaining about people coming after your head for? They're rolling hard. Right? Like, if that's what you want to do. What you're saying is, I want to roll hard and also win all the time, then that doesn't make any sense. Like, if you want to roll, if the complaint is if people are coming after my head, I am certain that I can mitigate that situation. I probably caused a problem in the first place. I'm lucky not to be in that situation. I'm not going to get people into that kind of mood. But if you did, then what's the problem? Isn't that what you want? Like, if you want to, they're coming after your head, I guess it depends. If you feel like you're going to get injured, that's a different thing. If you're talking about maybe getting greenlit, this probably may be a misunderstanding at that point. But
right.
Yeah, I just learned forever ago, before I even got to jiu-jitsu, that if you're looking at someone's belt, I'm not finger wagging on a purple belt in this situation, but I'm just saying, for me, after so many years of just, hanging out with lining up against some stranger, it's like, I really don't care what the belt is at all. If anything, if it's a black belt, then I'm going to relax a little bit. But even then, like, I can't be doing this, because what are the standards of a purple belt? Is it the same in San Diego as it is in New York, as it is in northern Maine? Who knows what that is? I don't even know what it means. I don't even know how good I am. I just know that, like, I can't be going, that's a belt, I'm going to do it because of the belt. Until after we roll. And then how long does it take to get to know a new guy in rolling? It takes 2 minutes to figure it out.
There's also different levels to every level, because if you're a purple belt who you're 56 years old and you're a purple belt and you're doing this just because you enjoy it, and you have a purple belt who's 26 years old and he's training 3 hours a day because he's trying to make to
Worlds. Yeah,
exactly. There's a difference. Yeah,
I always just say the same guy, slap hands, and I go, don't kill the old guy, and we just have fun. If anything, they get a little bummed out because we're not rolling that hard, and then the next time around, we'll see how it goes. But that first, I don't want to engage. Plus, George, for people who don't know George, who are fans of the podcast, we have fans on the audio side. This whole video side is pretty new. If I stand up, George comes up to about here on me. And I'm like 5'9". I'm not a tall guy, right? And so, yeah. So the funny thing is that, like, the new guy will come in and I'll be like, hey, I'll roll, just so that George doesn't have to deal with the guy, because George can beat the fuck out of the guy. But on the other hand, he's small, so he can't do what you big guys do, which is sort of it's okay, brother. Let me control you. George has to go all, cat bath on the guy. And it's just embarrassing for George, I think. So I will always grab the new guys as they come in, because they're going to get the old dude, and that's fine. And I can take care of myself. So, I'm not out to prove anything. And then by the time, I always go, you don't want to fuck with that guy. And the funny thing is, it's true, George. It's because we care about you, man. It's true.
We always had a saying when I was doing taekwondo. We called it applied taekwondo. It was a little different from like sport taekwondo, where when we sparred, we actually had ground fighting was part of it. A lot of our ground fighting was based off of Eric Paulson's system. And
right.
We always had a saying, for the lower belts and for the new people who were sparring, you're going to get what you give. And, that applies in this situation as well. You're going to a new academy. You got to remember, if you're going to go hard, someone's going to come right hard back at you. Ideally, if you go in there respectful, hopefully people will be respectful back to you. But, there's always going to be exceptions to that as well. I mean, I've had people come at me like I owe them money plenty of times, go in there nice and light, and next thing you know, it's like, well, what the fuck was that,
That's amazing advice. It's perfect advice, man.
Spot on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I've heard George say, like, I'm going to give you what you want. Like, I'll match your level. That's what you say, right? I'll match your intensity, right?
For sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
But I think too, like ever since I think John Frankel told us this, but and I think about this in all different types of questions come up. But I think he said you got to love jiu-jitsu more than you love winning.
Yeah.
And man, he said that, and I think in terms of all these situations, I'm like, is winning that important, or do I love jiu-jitsu? And I love jiu-jitsu. I mean, I want to win too a lot of times, but I do love jiu-jitsu more than winning, and so. But I think
without pimping the podcast too much, we have these 3 in a row, and the first one is John Frankel, and I've left that up there by itself, even though the next one up is Henry Akins is coming out tomorrow. It's like. That Frankel one had like a number of arrows that went all the way through and back out the other side for me, man. That one's a monster. You gotta love jiu-jitsu more than you love winning, and then he follows it up by saying, and then paradoxically, you're gonna get a lot better at jiu-jitsu if you just take this attitude. If you just show up and have a good time, work hard, do your thing. He's not talking about light rolling. He's just saying. Love it. And then, he had a string of stuff, which you're going to hear everybody who listens to the podcast. I'm not in every podcast, but when I'm around, I'm going to keep saying it over and over again, Love that example that he put up, which is, you get these guys, these young guys are 23 years old and they can't lift their arm over their shoulder. And he's looking at them going, what are you doing? You're training for worlds. These are world-class guys. He's like, these guys, there's no man who can come up and punch them in the face. There's no man who can hurt these people. He goes, but you don't need those people because this guy's hurting himself. He goes, how is this self-defense? They're hurting their own necks. They're hurting their own shoulders. They can't move. He goes, that's terrible self-defense, What a great point, So I hope the people will take a little time to head over to the YouTube page, just, search on John Frankel and the podcast, and it's right there. It's legit kill. It's amazing work. And I'm not on it. I just sat back and listened to George ask really good questions. So, wow, that's 3 compliments in a row, George.
Man, I feel unbelievable. Yeah.
Let me
recording.
Since I have the mic, and I'll stop after this. Kyle did say, our buddy, the white belt, is saying that he just doesn't want to come off as a dickhead, to put it bluntly. And I think you guys did a really good job of encapsulating the idea. You can just put on a white key, go in, shut up, have a nice time, take it easy, find some friends, and go beat the hell out of them a couple weeks from now after you know them a little better. And everybody gets to know you. But to be fair, I mean, our example young man here was a Navy corpsman going to victory, at Jocko's club. So who knows what it's like there. They might have picked him out right away.
But he's also tough, and he's good. And
he's a monster.
Yeah.
He picked me right up off the ground. I'm like, I feel comfortable there from the judo and stuff. So I understand where I'm going, and I'm trying to get him on the way. Actually, loop choked him on the way down. But the bottom line is,
Kyle, maybe you just got to take a deep breath and play guard.
No, you can't put him on his back. No, that's terrible advice. Terrible.
Listen, I am so stoked you guys came on here. I really want to visit both you guys when we can do such things again, which it'll happen. I'm really excited to have both you guys on, man, and talk about this stuff because it's great.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thank you. And listen, any of you guys, if you ever find yourself in Connecticut, my doors are always open. If you want to come in on the best night, Friday nights at my gym are the best.
Really? Why is Friday the night?
It's our open mat, and
nice.
It's the most packed night. But it's really cool. Like, I mean, it's a strong sense of family and great vibes. You know, we start at 7, you know, and there could be little kids on the mats, you know, because I'm a family gym. So I literally have big brother, little brother, father and his 2 daughters. I'm there with my daughter. She's on the mat. She's a brown belt, trying to strangle somebody. My fiance.
Beautiful.
It's like it's just awesome. And then
That's
afterwards,
beautiful.
a lot of times we drink beer, you know.
Oh my goodness. That sounds fantastic. What time do you run an open mat on Friday nights?
7 p.m.
7 p.m. So when all this comes back up to full speed, that sounds like a fantastic plan.
Please come by. Please,
Chris,
come by.
how do people?
You can crash on the mats.
Now you're talking.
How do people find you, Chris?
I'm on Instagram, C Smith IMBCT. I'm also on Facebook. Usually, I'm quiet on Facebook. I don't rant. I don't tell anybody what I ate for breakfast. I don't complain about anyone's political beliefs. So you might have a hard time finding me. But I'm there. That's my gym right there.
Oh, looks fantastic.
Yeah.
Nice work, man.
Dude, we're gonna come down and train with you for sure, 100%. Rich, how can we find you, man?
Sab Jits, what's the plan? Show me what am I sharing here?
Well, you can do whatever you want, man.
No, you tell me.
At Rich Sab is the easiest one. That's, you know, my personal stuff. I have the Sab Jits Soap Co.
Yeah.
Soap company. I mean, I don't want to.
Dude, no, it's cool. We're gonna delete that out.
Come on.
Yeah, so I got the soap company. Actually, I want to come up to Portsmouth because my girl Tara, she started the whole soap thing, and I'm kind of like just starting up myself, you know. And you know, we follow Tortuga.
Coconut.
Yeah, I got a lot of soap on there and stuff, man. Deodorant, we do soap, deodorant, all that stuff too.
Nice work.
Yeah,
dude,
I mean
that's dope.
Yeah, so
what's that?
You know,
I was just saying that's dope. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my I got both. I got, you know, Rich Sab on Facebook and on Instagram and on Twitter, and Sab Jits Soap Co. on Instagram and Facebook.
I got a question. Why don't you have any pictures of you playing any music on this?
Right.
There's some, dude. It's been a while.
On Instagram here.
Yeah, there's some. It's been a while since I've played. We made some changes and we haven't been out playing again. I want to come up and play some music with you guys, man.
Dude,
you're a bass player, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, don't call me sir. Wow. Check it out. You gotta make the scene. Here you go. Sorry, I'm gonna make everybody sick for just a second. There you go. Yeah. The studio is all different now, man. Like you got all this. See how you got all this space over here now?
Nice.
It's kind of hard to see, but if you're over in that area over there where these chairs are, you got some distance between over here. I'm sorry, I can't really get out of the way and do it. There you go. So we got some good shit going on over here. The cameras are going up over on the, the beams over there. So I'm over in the keyboard area there. Got the piano going over here. So it's pretty good, man. That drum set is sounding really good. It's my friend Steve's. Steve is a freaking monster and really nice guy too. And so the drum set's all wired up. Everything's always ready to record all times. Yeah. So we just walk in. If you ever listen to George's alternate podcast, would you like to pimp your podcast for a second there? It's called Stray the Chorus. George playing the guitar on the intro to that podcast all by his little lonesome.
That's awesome.
How long did it take for us to put that together there, George?
Not long. I mean, thanks to you. Not long.
No, it was you. You decided to play the guitar. It was like 45 minutes at most.
Right.
Done. Mixed, mastered, cut. into the podcast.
Yeah,
it was
that's
great.
all you. That's all you.
Yeah, stop talking. All right, so.
But no, dude, that would be killer, man. I would love to have. I'm so into having jiu-jitsu people come up and play music and
yeah, dude, I'd love to come up and make some music with you guys. I predominantly I'm a bass player, but I also do play guitar. That's another thing I've been doing during this whole break is teaching myself finger picking.
Woo!
Because I I've always. I use like my thumb and my little finger, right, and I'll like finger pick, and it's really horrible. And I'm trying to get better at that.
Here's the trick that one of the best guitar players ever, like his name is Duke Boston. I was watching him, and this is the trick. You can line his fingers up. See how I'm looking right down the fingers?
Yeah,
like an arrow. That's how he holds his hand. Like. Not like this. Oh. Like this, not like this. Like everybody tries to go like this. Not like playing the bass. It's like it's lined up. So you're going diagonal on the strings and you keep your hand relaxed. Everything needs to be relaxed, and that's how you get that super fast. You don't try to line them up like this. You line them up like that. Guy's a total monster.
So that works out really well with slapping and plucking on the bass, because far too many people will hold their hand this way as they're slapping.
Listen, yeah.
This way, it's much smoother, and you can get it up and down with your thumb as you're plucking with your fingers.
You're a real bass player. You know what's going on. Yeah. You played some loud music too, right?
I do, yeah. There's one band I play with where we have two carnations of it. Carnation isn't the right word. But
incarnation, yeah.
We have it's 5 guys, right? And one of the guys is a little less than reliable. So when he's around and it's the 2 guitar players, we play like it's like a really like hardcore thrash metal kind of thing. And when he's MIA, we do like horror punk rock. So
do you have anything we can? We won't do it now, but I mean, anything people can listen to, or is that not the case?
Yeah, there might be some stuff on YouTube. I'm not sure. If you look up Sardonica,
okay, or
Slaughtered Grace, that stuff is pretty aggressive. The Buck 380 is the other one, and that's just more like straight rock.
Riddler has a thing for band names.
Oh man, you're killing me. This looks so. I won't embarrass you. This is looking.
That's the old original stuff right there, man.
Good, man.
That was before I even was in the band.
May I look at this picture?
Which one?
Are you in this picture?
I'm not in that picture, no.
Oh, okay.
No, that's me right there, though.
That
right there, yeah.
Nice work. This is great. Look at you. Slaughtered Grace topic on YouTube. Definitely want to look up this band.
And if you look up Buck 380, that's just more straight rock. There's a few videos up there on YouTube with that one. BUCK, the number 3, and then the word 80.
Yep.
Dope. Very cool.
Interesting. Yeah. Nice work.
So it's fun stuff.
Nice work.
Awesome.
All
right, boys.
Bring it home, George.
I love all you guys, man. Thank you so much. Hopefully we'll see you soon.
I really appreciate you having me on, man.
Hell yeah, dude.
Great to meet you, Chris. I would definitely like to come down and enjoy your open mat when that's all happening, all right?
Please do. Please do. I mean it, man. We'll go hang out afterwards.
I mean it as well. Yeah. Fantastic. Cool. Fantastic.
Right. Do it.
Thanks, guys.
Take care, guys.